So let's continue this time with something a bit more in line with what I usually do, and probably what you would get a Syncussion for. I mean, it's a bleepy techno beast. It's just perfectly suited to the task. You can find it often on in live set even, because it's such a beautiful, easy to use instrument. It's easy to go from one sound to the next. You have the oscillator mode button, and you can get widely different results from a simple sequence. You just plug a Doppler dark time into it and you're good to go. So this time I'm gonna use a bit more samples. Let's start as usual with the kick. Nothing crazy here. It's just a sample kick. It's number 13 from the sample pack. 4 to the floor. There's some black box HG2, which is one of the few plug-in distortions I've tried that I think is good, along with the Sound Toys one. So basically, if I need plug-in distortion, that's usually what I do, and that's it. There's nothing on it. I wanted a rather short kick, so I've reduced sustain. I wanted a short kick because the bass line is rather bassy. So here's the bass line. It's sample blah 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 10. What does it say? 7. So it's the number 7 in the loops. As you can see, I've just chosen a tiny part of the sample, and I've chosen a different starting point that here, so that it works better with the kick. So it's pretty cool. You get something that's, you know, quite plug and play. Really, it's fun and ready to go. I've used that plugin, which once again I've talked about it at length in previous videos. Bassmint, Bass Smoother. I probably haven't changed that preset at all. Let's hear that bass line without any processing. It's not a huge difference. So Bassmint just controls the bass a bit. It deletes some of the rumble, mono the bass, maybe adds a thin layer of distortion that you can't hear. Then Timeless Free to give it some movement, because I liked the higher clicks and I wanted to make them a bit more prominent to give texture. So very little feedback. There's an envelope follower that's just increasing the feedback here, but reducing the dynamics. So it's a very subtle effect. And of course, I've EQ'd most of the low end. Just gives it a bit of stereo and texture. And then, because once again you can see it's quite dynamic and it's a bass line, I've just sidechained it. Actually, I didn't squash the dynamics, I just sidechained it to the kick. You have two different versions of the Empressor. There's the Empressor sidechain, and then you can choose a sidechain source. So that's going to be our kick and bass combo, which I think works. It's fun. You can, you know, you can. The good thing with samples, if you don't have to use the whole thing, you could use different part of a sample, different starting point. Completely changes the feel. Obviously, I prefer that one because that's the one I've chosen. You are free to try many different things. You can sequence it like we did before, but here I just kept it simple and looped a loop. And then we have some percussions here. Again, I've changed the starting point so that it works better. Let's hear it by itself. This is a dry loop from Percussion, so it was intended more as toms, or, you know, you could do rolling delays and have like a rolling tom bass line with this. Here is just a dry loop number 9 in the sample pack. I've squashed dynamics quite heavily. It's really keeping those transients underwater. That's what I wanted. I didn't want too many transients on that sound. Then some delay. It's a reverb preset, which I don't think I've tweaked. Just to give it some texture again. Pro Q3 to really totally get rid of the low end. But most of what's important is happening in Shaperbox again. The reverb, I really like to do this, especially with... Actually, I've had Shaperbox for a while, but I never really used it until they came out with the reverb like less than a week ago. And I bought that. It was 19 euros, so really worth it. And it's a convolution reverb, so you have all these and you can add your own. I have some Lexicon 480 impulse responses and some from the Brick-ST M7, a lot actually. But yeah, you can use whatever impulses response you have or ones from here, and then you get this the same controls you get from every Shaperbox module, pretty much like that grid. So you can have the reverb rise at just some spots. And I love that. I really love to do this on synth, on percs, and I used to try to mimic this with compressors and automation, but I think it's so good in Shaperbox, and the reverbs are really good because it's impulse responses. It's not algorithmic reverb. Not to say that algorithmic reverb sound bad. I think they chose well to do impulse responses for this type of reverb because it works great. And you have a multi-band EQ, so you could have a different reverb for the higher parts, which is super creative. Just for the highs, you know, if you feel like it. That's not what I want to do here, but you can do it, and it's really interesting. Then I've used the time, just a small amount, to do this sort of a backwards in time thing. Use sparsely. It can be good. Honestly, like I said previously, I need to spend more time with that module. And a comp, just to keep, once again, the last remaining dynamics in check. Once again, like in the previous example, this is just a tiny perk, but those kind of tiny percussions sometimes is what makes the groove or what makes the atmosphere of a track. So that's all together with the kick and bass. You know, you can try different starting points again. See what works best. Damn, this one, what is this? I think this is... Oh yeah, this is very sort of a atmosphere. So basically I've turned that tiny click, tiny percussive loop. It's a lead originally. Let's remove all these. And I really didn't want a lot of it, so I've just deleted that main one here in the middle. So if I don't do this, that's what you get, and if you get it. It's a longer recording, so you can really chop it and have fun with it. I really kept very short amount of sound. You can see my automation here in the clip. This is really powerful. You kind of have to know it's there because it's kind of small, but once you know, you know. Then the processing, as you guessed, a lot of Shaperbox again. So not only did I keep just a small portion of sound here, but then I make it disappear even more in shaper box, I only kept on 2 bars, I only kept this. This one just smearing the sound. I'm using it as a reverb mostly. There are some reverb presets. And here you can see I've used an envelope follower to move the diffuse, so diffusion. And also an LFO which I've added that adds some lo-fi, which further smears the sound, and especially the sounds of the diffusion, because basically our sound, the original sound, is just it's barely a click. Then since the reverb is quite long, I've sidechained it, not by much. I don't like too heavy-handed pumping effects. And then some phaser. Oh, it's actually a flanger. Been really into flangers lately. Never used them before. You know, I wanted an atmosphere, so what's best than a flanger or phaser for an atmosphere? So if we listen to all these together, so it's starting to take shape as a loop. Then we have some more hats. Let's unmute this. Why can't we hear it? Oh, because I've muted the group. So, same principle as last time. It's actually the same loop. The one with the velocity and decay built in. So I've put a step on each step, added some swing for some fun, then duration, velocity, and a few different notes so that it chooses different samples in here. And then you get 16th hat, just a little bit of ultra tap to make them roll. Really like ultra tap for this, on hats especially. That one is the most standard basic hat ever. There's no velocity, no nothing. It's just 3 and 7, you know. So yeah, no sustain. I wanted something really short. So you get the 2 hats here. Oh, I've put some distortion on the group just to add some volume. And I was looking at because this is okay loop, but it definitely lacks something. So I was looking for a lead at some point. So I eventually tried with the lead in the lead folder. It's the second one, and I've sequenced it with Stepic. So let's listen to it. Really not much. I've made a fade in, so slow attack to get rid of the very clicky nature of the Syncussion. Some velocity, just a 16 note pattern with no probability. Then some compressor, because it turns out we really hate dynamics in that track. Some Pro Q just to be sure. And some shaper box doing what I wanted to show before, with just, you know, reverb happening just sometimes. So this is a small church. I think it's, yeah, one of my Lexicon 4ATL impulse responses. And I've put it in 4 bars. So, you know, every 4 bars there's a little rise of reverb here and here. And there's a comp that just squash things down again. I don't know why I've been so hell-bent on using compressors on those two loops, but yeah. And that's the loop. Oh no, actually there's something quite important, a delay. Echo Boy delay. I don't use it that one very often. I like the junior version. My go-to delay is the Timeless 3, but I don't know, I've used it so much I wanted something else. So here is the DM2 preset from Echo Boy, probably emulating a famous piece of hardware. What I like about the Echo Boy, not junior, so the senior one, is the groove and feel you can get. So I think that's interesting. The lead is just a longer take resampled in slice mode and resequenced, sorry. And I think it's okay actually. And so once again, the only thing left to do is to do a bit of sequencing or arranging, whatever. Let's just listen now to the little loop I've finished. So here's the loop, and I hope this was quite interesting to watch and listen. It's a bit different than the usually hardware-focused videos, but it's a sample pack, so, you know, might as well work with the samples. I quite enjoy making those, actually, so Probably not gonna sell my hardware and start working all in the box, but once in a blue moon, it's really fun to do. And since I make sample pack, I want to make interesting demo tracks to show what you can do with them. So yeah, it's a good incentive to start and work on new things. And if there's anything to remember from that video, is just have fun with samples. Sure, you can just assemble them and get something decent going, but make it your own. Yeah, just destroy them any way you can and make it your own. Have fun. See you in the next one. Bye.